there, I'm Don.
And hi, I'm Cindy. Welcome to Pearls of Liberty, June 15th, 2013. The scandals just keep getting wider and wider in scope. Admission, special forces were only hours from Benghazi.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. There really is a multiplicity of scandals, and I was just now reading a new John Rappaport article that just came out that we may link here later. But it's talking about this over-scandalization in order to detract from the key scandals and the things that really could bring Obama down. And that one is Benghazi. Now, there may be more than one. There's definitely several things that could take him out, but Benghazi has real teeth. And I know we were saying, along with others from day one, when that thing caught fire again, second time around, that all the other stuff that cropped up at the same time was very likely a diversion from the key scandal. But we've got all this, I'm not saying that the NSA wiretapping is a scandal. I think that's captured the public imagination, and that's a really good thing to have the public be aware of that. But yeah, there is a lot of truth coming to the fore, but there is also that being used by the White House as a distraction, because you get the attention span of the media and the people that tune into the mainstream media is about 3 days. So you get this news cycle, and if it's not resolved in 3 days like your typical sitcom, then people go, ho hum, okay, I'm ready for the next thing. And they don't really let it sink in. And but that's a that's a lot of people, but it only takes a minority to actually turn the tide, and we're going to talk about that for a few minutes too.
Mainstream media losing all credibility as it fails to break any news on exploding government scandals. And you do see these things come out in bits and pieces in the mainstream media, but you don't get the whole puzzle put together most of the time.
So people that are beginning to pay attention are beginning to notice that something really big is beginning to happen. I really think the dam is breaking. It's like the cracks in the dam have reached the point where more and more people are seeing them in an exponential kind of growth. So this is really good. I really think that I see signs that things that have been topics in liberty circles for a long time are becoming mainstream. People are becoming aware of things like, this is a basic key one, but the Federal Reserve being private. We actually passed that some time ago. But the whole criminal operation of the global banking system is becoming much more widely known, and people are being, I think, prepared to be able to see the need for and accept a major change in the banking system.
Well, and maybe not the banking system only. Nobody quite knows what Glenn Beck has been talking about, promising that some big scandal is going to break that's going to divide the country. And somebody has the theory that it's fracking, and he means that the country is going to physically, literally be divided at the Mississippi River. I don't put a whole lot of credence in that theory, but because he's in New York now, I am kind of wondering if perhaps it has something to do with some kind of a broad mainstream media release of information that 9/11 really was false flag tyranny. But then, of course, Wall Street is in New York too, and it's I think the main Fed is in New York, so kind of hard to guess at what, if anything, he's actually referring to.
Yeah, I think everything does ultimately tie back to the banking system, but what Beck has been prepping people for is uncertain at this point, and I've been speculating that he may be the person that the alternative media has designated to reach into the mainstream media to release certain things that have to do with a major shift, like the break into the public awareness that the United States is not a country, it's a corporation. This is something that Liberty people have known for some time, and we've become comfortable with the idea. We understand it. We realize that that's the world we live in, but most people don't. And My speculation is that it's something along those lines. If that were to break into the mainstream, and Beck may be the chosen one to do that because he has the platform, then that would create a real shift and a divide between Americans as to whether that's a truth or just some crazy conspiracy theory.
So, because there's this potential division coming between Americans who embrace different philosophies of government, whatever, who are along party lines, wherever the division would fall, it's really important for liberty people to hang together. And this doesn't happen. A good friend of ours is still really believing that Alex Jones has CIA ties, and one reason is because he was able to get inside the Bohemian Grove to produce this video. But it's name calling and finger pointing among liberty people really is not going to help us move forward at this point.
Let me make it real simple. If somebody that is claiming to be working for the good guys against the cabal has success in exposing something, if you take that success as evidence that they're actually working for the other side and that they couldn't have done that without help from the bad guys, I'm sorry, but you have a defeatist mentality. We the people will never ever win if that is the mentality that you have, that somebody can only have success if the bad guys help them. I'm sorry, I don't believe that. And I think we have to stop buying into that mindset. That is not critical thinking. That is not sound reasoning. That is not proof of any kind. If somebody like Alex Jones, as he does quite often, says, "I'm not bragging, but," and then proceeds to say something along the lines that sound like bragging, well, does that mean he's COINTELPRO? No, that just means he has a personality characteristic that you don't care for. But that's precisely the kind of grace we need to give each other, where we say, hey, that's just Alex Jones blowing his own horn. That doesn't bother me. Hey, you know what? He's got a lot of good fruit, and I see that he's reaching into the mainstream, blah, blah, blah. We got to give each other grace to have different approaches, and we can't always have this hunker-down mentality where anybody that pops their head up and doesn't get it shot off must be some kind of a COINTELPRO bad guy. Come on.
Absolutely. So even though, as Don was saying, Benghazi is probably the main story, there is this more information just seems to keep coming out about what the NSA is doing and just how extensive this spying is. And yeah, to people like us, and probably most people who are watching this video, this isn't really new news. We've known about the spying for a long time. It's just the extent. And also, all of a sudden, it is getting more coverage in the mainstream media, and more people are becoming concerned about it. So it does seem like there's more of a groundswell of interest in some of the things that many of us have been interested in for some time.
Yeah, I really do think that that's a very, very good sign that liberty is catching on, it's taking off, it's growing roots. People are upset at this. The stuff that, I mean, I knew about V-chip and that stuff in the 90s and all these, the Telecommunications Act, and I didn't know the details like Alex Jones does, but I knew about that. And I knew where this was leading, but now it's captured the public imagination, and people are saying no, because they can, even the people that believe that Obama is a good guy, they can recognize the dangers of a system like that. So I think people are waking up both left and right, and that's a very good thing, because that tends to unify Americans. If we say, hey, we don't like the government spying on us, we don't care who has the reins of power, this is not a good thing. Well, you know what? That's Americans going back to their roots, and that's what 1776 was all about getting the British soldiers out of the colonists, Americans' homes. And what do we have now? We have NSA reaching into your operating system on your computer in your home through your smart meter into your appliances, microphones, etc., etc. So, you know what? That it's time to rise up and rise again until the lambs become lions, and I think we're getting there.
And if you want to rise above being spied on, we have a couple of suggestions here. Well, there's 7 suggestions here, and then another really interesting suggestion. But there are ways to make your internet experience more private, and certainly these are some of them.
Yeah, Start Page is a great one, and one of the tools that I use, I don't know if it's listed here. Yeah, Tor is listed here. It's a way of getting an alternative, an alternate IP address in your for browsing. And I use a product that name escapes me at the moment, but if I think of it, I'll say it, and we can put the link on. Is a way to have your PC actually be on the internet in another location worldwide via servers that are networked. And it, I've noticed that Tor can tend to be slower, but this feature doesn't. So, it's called privateinternetaccess.com. So, and it's a low annual fee. So that's a great way to go. Hushmail's here, and yeah, you want to definitely tape your web camera and make sure that people don't watch you behind the scenes. All this stuff is built in, but you can take some measures. So excellent ideas here.
And here is a really fun plug-in for Firefox. Firefox plugin warns users of NSA surveillance. And if I read this correctly, when you visit a website that is being spied on by the NSA, a song from Dark Side of the Moon begins to play, and evidently Roger Waters is a big fan of Snowden and is supporting freedom of expression, of course, and privacy of what we do on our computers. And Roger Waters said, we need more whistleblowers. Blowing the whistle on our behalf is not just brave, it is heroic, and it is our duty. And there's a link here to download the Dark Side of the Prism plugin. And I have not yet done that, so I'm not really sure how it works. But it's this is a way to have a little bit of fun as you're protecting your online experience.
That sounds great. That's one big plus for open source, because when you get programs like Firefox that are open source, people with ideas for plugins like this that are just brilliant can go for it, and that's great. I'm going to get that and do it. I wanted to say one little thing about Snowden, since we're talking so much about the whole privacy whistleblower thing, is that John Rappaport had an excellent article about this that made a whole lot of sense, and that is that given the guy's background, and he goes into detail there of Snowden, it's pretty unlikely that this kind of just happened on its own. He was basically positioned to do this. Now, that doesn't make it bad or wrong. That doesn't make him any less brave. In fact, to me, that makes me have a greater respect for the coordination among the Liberty people, that they are able to play the big boys game on the big boys level. In other words, set up somebody to do the exposing and have people behind the scenes that are able to support him. So the fact that that something is being manipulated in this fashion, I think, is actually a good thing. And people that would point to indications that, hey, maybe Snowden wasn't acting on his own, therefore he must be working for the cabal, and this is all some kind of a false flag. I think that's buying again into the defeatist mentality. I think there is extensive information out there that the good guys have a long-term coordinated strategy, and this is just the tip of the iceberg in terms of being able to see one of those particular points where that strategy pokes its head above water. So I'm encouraged when I see things that indicate that Snowden was supported in what he did and continues to be supported, because we're not going to survive otherwise. If this is all just handled by brave individuals with nobody backing them and just running and doing everything on the seat of their pants, I don't think we're going to make it. But I think we are going to make it because it's much more coordinated than that.
Well, in David Wilcock's most recent blog, didn't he write about a group of Russian Christians and how there is a resistance movement that is somewhat based on some of the principles that they put together?
Absolutely, and that's glad you mentioned that, and we can put that link on there too to David Wilcox's new blog, because he does talk about that. He says that I think it was in the 70s that these people were studying how the cabal, the Zionist, communist people that were running Russia at that time, they began to discover over a period of time their vulnerabilities and how to take them down. And they do use the same playbook internationally and have for centuries. So that information has now been gathered and is in the hands of the good guys. And we, and I include myself with them, not that I have any inside knowledge whatsoever, are going to win because it is not only a grassroots awakening, but it's a coordinated behind-the-scenes strategy in exposing the bad guys, and it is happening. So it's very exciting. Yeah, I remember in my early days as a new believer in the early 1980s praying for these Russian Christians that had been imprisoned for their faith, and just knowing how significant that was. And I'm just really encouraged now to know that they had a strategy and were learning through all of the horrors that they had to go through, gathering information that would help humanity as a whole worldwide become victorious. So yeah, David Wilcox wrote about that. It's in his book. This new book that he wrote that's coming out, I want to get that. This is exciting stuff.
So we got that going for us.
Mm-hmm.
And Father's Day is tomorrow, and we didn't say a whole lot about fathers, but that is just a tremendous value to pass on these ideals of liberty and independence to children. And we do wish all of you a happy Father's Day tomorrow. And thank you for joining us for this week's video.
Yes, and we all have fathers, unless we're clones. So thank your father. And as always, we want to say, see the world the way that it really is. See yourself in it. Walk your walk. You are the one you've been waiting for.